Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's Shy Rosalind. Welcome to the Eclectic Experience. I have postponed Beat and Chat. Normally, this would be the time for Beat and Chat, but I decided to finally present this um, show I was working on for the past couple of weeks regarding caregiving. I decided to, well, I finally finished this up, and caregiving is one of the number one, probably number two health crises in the United States. And why it's a health crisis? It's because we have people who are not professionals providing medical care to people who would otherwise be in a very poorly run, for the most part, nursing home or other facility. So people are trying to take care of friends and family in their home. It's called aging in place. And there's, in some parts of this country, there is not a lot of support, and in other parts of the country where there is support, it's not enough, or it's just inadequate care. So, a little bit of background: I am a caregiver to two family members, a parent with dementia who is moving into another stage of it as we speak, and a sibling with autism. Now, not, some people usually have just one person that they're caring for, but there are millions of us who are caring for more than one person, and sometimes one person passes away and there's another person right behind them. So it's something that usually never ends until the person passes away, or the caregiver becomes ill and can no longer be the caregiver. So, I wanted to present some facts and figures and give a background on what is going on. And again, welcome to the Eclectic Experience. Please like, subscribe, and comments are welcome. Likes are free. If you're watching after, in the after show or the replay, just put a comment. Comments are always appreciated. And before I get started, I do want to apologize for last night's audio issues. I did not realize there were audio issues. I was using a new headset, and I thought everything was working, and I did the playback this morning and realized I cut out a lot. I'm sorry. But I am glad I was able to share the two videos regarding Queen Elizabeth last night. I'll probably do a follow up as it gets closer to the funeral. I'll certainly going to do another show. Also, check out Suzette Speaks. She did a show today about it, more in depth than what I did. So definitely check her out as well. So, moving into this caregiving life, um, and for some people, it's not really a life anymore once you start caregiving. You have to give up a lot. Some of the information I'm sharing is from AARP. Some of the information is from the CDC. So let's get started. And just as a reminder, I'm not going to use any videos tonight, but I'm putting the notice in there. And also, this presentation is not medical advice. I am not a doctor. If you are experiencing symptoms or you suspect a family member may be experiencing or developing Alzheimer's or dementia, please take them to a doctor to be properly evaluated and go from there. So, that being said, let's give a little information. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see, this is, okay, this is this one. All right, so just to give a brief brief background. This is from the Centers for Disease Control. Um, and these are all online. You guys can look them up and download the information for yourself. Um, Basically, it's saying that caregivers provide assistance with another person's social or health needs. Caregiving may include help with one or more activities of daily living, such as bathing, dressing, paying bills, shopping, providing transportation. Caregivers can or usually are unpaid family members or friends or paid caregivers. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about having family members get paid something, some kind of stipend. Some states do provide that, but there are a bunch of caveats to it. Um, I know for New York State, the person that is the patient must be on Medicaid. The person who is providing the caregiving services cannot be their power of attorney, because as power of attorney, you're already responsible for the person's finances. So they're assuming that the person you're caring for has made some kind of arrangement for you to have access to their bank account, in order to pay for what's necessary for their care. Um, so it's tricky. I actually did try to apply for it, and I couldn't get it. um, and of course, caregiving is a blessing to the person receiving care, usually. However, it may or may not be a blessing to the person that's providing the care, because usually you have to either, if you can work full time, you're taking time off, a lot of time off. Some people have had to either retire early or give up working altogether because the demands are too high, and they cannot get reliable help. Um, if and this is all anecdotal. Um, they're members of a support group that I am in that are having issues with their spouses, because it's stressful on the spouse as well as on the person providing the care. It's stressful on families. There are people who have moved their loved ones in with them, and they already have children of their own, and if the children are having issues with the grandma, or particularly if the elder person is going through dementia, as they go through the stages, they don't recognize people anymore. Their personality begins to change. They sometimes regress, and when that happens, it affects the entire family. It's not just the person who's doing the immediate caregiving. So it's stressful. It's not easy. Um, if there were proper help, if there was proper assistance available, then it would not be as stressful as it is. There also have been episodes where the caregiver has died before the person they are caring for due to the stress. There was, I believe it was in Florida. No offense to Florida, but usually these things happen in Florida. There was I think it was either Florida, Arizona. There was a gentleman that he shot his wife. His wife had Alzheimer's. She was end stage, and he had not received any assistance, like the bare minimum assistance. Didn't have any home health aides. Didn't have any respite, no respite available, and he shot his wife. And then he called 911 and said, called 911. Sorry about that, folks. and said that he shot his wife, and he said he never able to get any assistance, and she was dying anyway, and he just couldn't go on. And by the time the police got there, he had shot himself. And then the police chief, I wish I remembered whether it was Florida or Arizona, the police chief said, "Oh, there was help available. All he had to do was ask." No, that's not the case. People ask for help, people beg for help, and they can't get help. You have people who have gone through 5 or 10 home health aides because either the aides quit after the first day, the aide's unreliable, the aide mistreats the person, or the aide steals. So no, that help's not available. Um, so for someone to just say, "Oh, you had to do was ask," no. This gentleman most likely had been asking for help for years. He probably spoke to his wife's doctor and said, "Hey, I need some help." He probably he didn't want to put her in a nursing home because people know that nursing homes are not exactly the best. Some nursing homes are really nice, and some nursing homes provide good care, but a lot of them do not. They are understaffed, especially after COVID. They are understaffed, and you have two aides for 20 patients. Well, guess what? You're not going to get good care. Unless the family member goes there every day and spends 3 or 4 hours a day just to make sure the person's clean and has been toileted and all that stuff. So, I mean, if you have to go to the nursing home and basically do the job of the people that work in the nursing home, you might as well keep your loved one at home and do it yourself. So, that being said, you're listening to the Eclectic Experience. I am Shy Rosalind. We're talking about caregiving tonight. And do like, if you are so inclined, please share this video if you're so inclined. The chat room is open, and also if you're watching on the replay, please feel free to leave a comment. Comments are always appreciated. Likes are always free, and you can also check out my Facebook page, and I am finally on Instagram as Shy Rosalind. N as in Nancy, D as in David, B as in Bravo. So, and please support my friends over at NDB Media. They have an amazing sports show. Just want to put that shameless plug out there. Anyway, back to the topic. We're talking about caregiving tonight. I just gave some basic information on caregiving. Um, it is not a club people necessarily want to join. It is a club that once you have joined, it can be anywhere from 2 years to 5 years to 10 years that you are caring for someone. And I'm actually going to look at some statistics. Um, there are some statistics. Okay, here we go. So, some basic characteristics of caregivers and the caregiving situation. Um, we are looking at adults aged 45 years or older who reported being a caregiver to a friend or family member, and it's broken down by state. Um, and in New York, it's 23%, almost 25%, 23%. North Carolina, no one, they don't have anyone reporting. Florida, it's a little hard to see. I think Florida is 23%. Texas is 23%. Oklahoma is 25%. Alaska is 22%. That's surprising. California is only 19%. That seems kind of low. Huh. You would think with a big population California has, it would be a little higher than 19%. But on average, it looks like it's anywhere between 20 to 25% of adults age 45 years or older are caregiving. Um, and of course, 23% of whites are caregivers compared to 24.3% of black and African Americans, 17.9% of Hispanics, and 10% of Asians and Pacific Islanders. Yeah, okay. Black people saving the world as we always do. Um, there is and I'm going to switch to that. Someone they did do a study on um I want to take this down. Give me 1 second. Uh okay. Okay. Why isn't it let me? Oh, that's weird. Okay. Why aren't you letting me share this screen, babe? Okay, there we go. All right. Sorry about that, folks. Someone did do a study um in conjunction with AARP. Here we go. And this was back in 2020, and they did a research, a fact sheet on African American caregivers, and it was part of the caregiving in the U.S. 2020 report, and basically they were looking into why African Americans, believe it or not, the title is Community and Culture Help Black Caregivers Cope with the Challenges of Family Caregiving. So basically, they're saying we're better at it. Let me tell you something. Just because we happen to be better at it, because the research claims that um, because African Americans are more community oriented and believe it or not, more family oriented. So we are most likely the ones to and do a jump in and help people out, whether it be a family member, a friend, or a neighbor. And we seem to be um, how did they say it? We seem to be the ones that are willing to be more. Whoops. Why did they do that? Oh man, hold on. Let me go back. Come on, go back. Don't do that. Okay. Yeah, we happen to be the ones that are more quote unquote family oriented, and we're the ones that um yeah, here we go. African Americans often have more burdensome caregiving situations than non Hispanic or white or Asian caregiver counterparts. They also tend to be younger, often unmarried, hello, have poor health, and frequently have to balance caregiving with full time jobs. Yeah, that's about right. Um, I've been there, been here. I'm in it, and I have the T-shirt to show for it. The profile would suggest that African American caregivers should be highly stressed. But research over the past 20 years has found they cope better with caregiving than white caregivers. I That kind of surprised me. Um, but again, black women saving the world. Um, huh. This particular research also goes on regarding the support system that's built up, and we don't necessarily have a bigger support system than our Caucasian counterparts, or our Hispanic counterparts. And that actually surprised me because usually Hispanic folks are way more family oriented than we are, and they usually have bigger families than we do. So I was kind of surprised to hear that we are actually we're actually better at caregiving and are better at handling it than our counterparts. That surprised me. Um, but let me tell you something. Just because we kind of have our crap together doesn't necessarily mean it's easy. It doesn't mean it's not stressful. It sometimes it means we just literally have no other choice but to try and get some support together. I'll give you an example. Um, Last year I had to have surgery, and it was a major surgery. Luckily, I was able to come home the same day, but I had to scramble to get people. I had to find someone to bring me home from the hospital. Fortunately, I was able to do that. I had to find someone to come and stay for the day. I got lucky. It took me 3 weeks to find someone, and it turned out to be a former neighbor of mine who wasn't working. They're retired, and they could always use a few extra bucks. So, and then between them and a family member who came to see me off to the hospital at 6 o'clock in the morning, bless their hearts, and stayed with my mom until the person I was paying was able to get to the house. So, I mean, that's how we cobbled together support. I didn't have an aide coming in from an agency and all. No, I didn't have that. I had to like piece together stuff and pay people to come and support me. And it was a mad scramble. Now I kind of, now that everything's settled down, thank God the surgery was successful. Um, but now that things have settled down and I'm able to have someone that I can call and say, hey, can you come over for a couple hours? And, they get a couple of bucks. They get some pocket money, and I get someone to make sure mom doesn't run away. So, um, but it's not easy. It's not easy. Caregivers, we give up a lot. Some of us give up careers. Some of us give up working full time. Some of us give up our hobbies because we can't do anything. Some of us give up. I mean, I haven't had a vacation since 2014. I think was the last time I actually took a trip somewhere. And I probably will not be able to have a vacation until my parent passes away because there's no one. I can't get any kind of respite help. Um, if I do get any kind of respite help, um, it's nursing home stay for 4 days. My mother wouldn't last 3 days in the nursing home. She would immediately want to come home. She would refuse to eat and refuse to drink and refuse to do anything until she's home. Because that's what happened the last time she was actually in the hospital. She was in the hospital for a few days. The first day she ate. The second day, once she realized she wasn't coming home right away, the second and third day, she refused to eat. She refused to drink, and she kept trying to get out of the bed. She fought. She fought the aides. She no. She just like no. And she finally stopped eating. She stopped drinking. And when I went to see her, she said, "Bring me home. I'm not eating until I get home." They wanted to put her in rehab. I said, "If you put her in rehab, she's not gonna last a day." So I brought her home. And within 48 hours, she was up on her feet. She was eating. She was drinking. She wasn't moving too fast, but she was eating and drinking and up on her feet. So there's no way I'm gonna get respite unless somebody is willing to stay in the house overnight, and that's not gonna happen either. So yeah, I'm probably never gonna have a break until she's dead. I hate to say it, but that's the truth. That's how it is. And I'm not alone. There are a lot of us in the same situation. We're unable to find help. Um and if we can't find help, we can't afford it. It's not cheap. And so people just like, forget it. I'll just wait till the person passes, and then, that'll be my break. It's sad to say, but that's the reality. That's part of the reality. Um, yes, you are listening to the Eclectic Experience with Shy Rosalind. Please like, subscribe. Likes are free. Comments are free. Comments are always appreciated. And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. So, speaking of difficult things, let's see. One of the more difficult things is trying to keep a job, trying to keep a job while, ooh, while, while working. Is this the right? I'm sorry, folks. Okay, no. I'm gonna stop sharing this one, and we're going to share this one. Okay. So yeah, trying to keep a job and care for a family member is another major challenge. And there was a study done. I think this is also in 2020. Um, yep, 2020 by AARP, and basically approximately 5 million employed family caregivers, and that was an increase of 5 million employed family caregivers since 2015. So let's take a look. The majority, 61% of family caregivers caring for adult relatives or friends, worked at a paying job at some point during their caregiving experience. In 2019, making for an estimated 29.2 million employed caregivers of adults. 57% expect to have some caregiving responsibility within the next 5 years. They're more likely to be female than male. Um, and then it goes on that it's 92% are caring for a parent, in-law, spouse, grandparent, or adult child assembly. Hello, I'm in two of those categories. And 8% provide care to a friend or a neighbor. On average, a caregiver works the equivalent of a full-time job on top of, they work the equivalent of, yeah, of a full-time job on top of their caregiving responsibilities. More than 25% provide 21 or more hours of unpaid care. And that's if you're lucky. Most of us are providing almost 24-hour care, which, as using myself as an example, I had to stop working in an office. I had to give up I didn't give up my career, because fortunately I freelance in the same career that I am in. However, my income has dropped by about $40,000. I used to earn approximately 50,000 when I was working my last full-time job. I went from 50,000 to 16,000 in the space of a year. Let that sink in for a minute. I went from earning $50,000 a year to $16,000 because I have to freelance. I lost $34,000 a year in income. I qualify for Medicaid and I just about qualify for food stamps. Alright? So that's what you lose. I have no retirement savings. I used my retirement savings the first year I was caregiving because I basically was not earning enough money to live. I just happened to have had about a year and a half worth of salary saved up, and that was supposed to go towards my retirement. That is no longer the case. It is gone. And I am not in a position to build it back up again. And it's not just me. There are a ton of us in the same situation. So, just let that sink in for a second. When people say, "Oh, you're home all day," yeah, I'm home because I have no choice. I'm home because I have to make sure my mother doesn't run out the front door and into the street. She's fallen once already, trying to run. I'm home because I have to take my brother to dental appointments and doctor's appointments because if I don't, the social worker starts asking questions and then, I can possibly get into trouble. I barely take myself to the doctor. I am overdue for my mammogram. I'm overdue for my regular checkup. The only thing I've managed to keep up is my post surgical care because the surgery was for cancer. So I have to keep those appointments. I haven't even been to a dentist in 3 years because I would have to find someone at this point. I would have to find someone to stay while I try to go to the dentist. Yeah, okay. Well, oh, you're home all day. Yeah. You think I'm home twiddling my thumbs? No. And on top of that, I have to keep my clients happy, so whatever pay I do get keeps coming. That is all a part of the caregiving life, my dear. That is how it goes. Um, for those people who are trying to hold on to a full time job, the main reason they're holding on to that full time job is because they need health insurance for themselves. And those who are age 50 and up, 64% have used up their sick days. 57% are on unpaid family leave, which they probably got through the federal requirement. Let's see what else. If you are still trying to work and caregive, most people either end up going in late, leaving early, or taking a lot of time off. They end up taking a leave of absence, or they go to working part time, which I tried doing that. That didn't work out. I ended up having to leave altogether. Um, some people have had to turn down a promotion. Some people have, like myself, have had to quit altogether. And once that happens, you lose your benefits. So, there are a lot of statistics, and there are plenty of them. Okay, I don't need this anymore. There are plenty of them And there are plenty of us in like I said, in situations where we have no choice. Our loved ones really don't have anyone else. So if we don't do it, it ain't gonna happen. But it can't get to a point where the caregiver, like I said earlier, the caregiver's health either starts to decline and they can't take care of themselves because they still have to take care of the other person, or they just become depressed. I've read not articles, but I've read folks testifying that they have had to, they've lost friends. People don't keep in touch with them anymore because they can't go out, they can't go anywhere. They barely see the friends that they are able to keep in touch with, and after a while people stop, they don't even ask about them anymore because there's nothing for them to talk about. So we just get ignored and discarded, so then it just we end up isolated. That's what happens. We end up isolated. Now there are caregiving groups out there. There are support groups available. Where I live in New York, there are plenty of them. Again, they're underfunded and understaffed, but they're out there. Um, each state has a Department of the Aging. Some are good and some are not good. I've read about people going to their local Department of Aging for assistance, and then they're told there's nothing available. So why do you exist if you can't help anybody? What's the point? I've heard horror stories about people whose loved ones are in the hospital. They're in no condition to come home, and the hospital is pushing for the person to go home because they need the bed for somebody else. And they're not medically able to go home. They can't get care at home. I read one person posted in the support group that they told the people at the hospital, like, listen, I'm not trained to do this stuff. You either have to send a nurse, or there has to be some kind of home health care set up because I can't do this. I'm not trained to change catheters and colonoscopy bags and stuff like that. And it's, well, we don't have it. We don't have that available. Then why are you sending the person home if they're not going to get care? I mean, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. I mean, some days are good days. Some days, everything goes according to plan. Like today, I managed to get my mother to take a bath. She hadn't taken a bath in a week. And I said to her, Mommy, you don't smell good. You gotta take a bath today. And it took some doing, but we got her to take a bath. So today was a good day. When you get to the point where giving your mother a bath is considered a good day, that's sad. But again, who else is going to help her? And the other reason why I wanted to do the caregiving show tonight, I noticed something. I was watching a little video about Queen Elizabeth yesterday, and they mentioned that Princess Anne was traveling with her and handing her cane and making sure that she could, walk, and was by her side, not not holding her, but basically standing close enough. Now you're supposed to stand 10 paces behind the queen, but Princess Anne was like right up to her and making sure that she was walking okay with the cane. And I said to myself, Princess Anne is her mother's caregiver. with all the servants and all the help, and no, Princess Anne, she is the main caregiver. She's right up next to her mother, making sure that she can walk with her cane, help making sure she gets in and out of the car. Princess Anne is a caregiver, and my guess is at least 80% of the time the caregiver is a woman. It's a daughter or a niece or a granddaughter. And I saw that when I saw Princess Anne with the Queen, I said, yeah, yeah, she got my job. She's her mother's caregiver. Nobody wants to say nothing. Nobody wants to say anything. Nobody wants to acknowledge it. But Princess Anne was Queen Elizabeth's caregiver. But they're not gonna mention that. I have a relative who's a caregiver to both her parents. Um, the mother had Alzheimer's, and the father, um, as he got older, he after the wife died, he dramatically went down, declined, and he was starting to do weird stuff. And this person has several brothers and sisters, and she was getting a break for a day and a half for 6 months. One of her siblings and their spouse took the father for like weekends, and it got to the point where they said, "Oh, we can't do this anymore." So she never got a break. The last year of her father's life, she did not get a break. They acknowledged her at the funeral and said, "Thank you for taking this on so that we could have our careers." She spent between her parents, she spent, oh, at least a minimum of 5 years. I think she spent. I think it was more than that. It was probably more like 8 or 9. She ended up giving up her. She gave up her job. So and her brothers were able to have their careers. She gave up hers. And I mean, I think they supported her financially, but it's not the same. So now she's a recovering caregiver. That's what we call it. And it's not right. Um, it's not right. It's not fair. Um, most of us do it because we love our loved ones and we want them to have the best of care. Some of us just were thrust into the position and did not have a good relationship with the loved one. And it's a long road. That's basically the only way I can really sum up a caregiving life. It's a long road. And sometimes you're kind of prepared for it, and sometimes you're not. And it's worse when you're not. Well, my advice would be any help you can get, take it. Um, if you can, if you are in a position where you can freelance what you do, then freelance it. Be prepared to be constantly interrupted, depending on what the person has. Be prepared to be interrupted. Um, be prepared to have bad days, and be happy when you have good days. Um, and if you know it's coming, if you suspect that your loved one is coming down with is developing dementia or Alzheimer's, and you're able to put some money aside before things get bad, before you have to absolutely quit your job, because trust me, you're going to end up quitting your job. Try and put away as much as you can. Save up as much as you can because you're going to need to spend it. Make sure all your affairs are in order. Make sure your loved ones will, if they have a trust, power of attorney, and healthcare proxy. Make sure they have all of that in order way before they need it. That's the one good thing with my parent. All her paperwork was in order. So when the last time I had to take her to the hospital, all I had to do was present them the paperwork. They were fine with it. They actually helped me update it because New York State changed their format for the healthcare proxies. So the hospital, the doctor and the social worker at the hospital actually helped me get it updated. So I have an updated one. Um, and just make sure you have everything in order. Funeral arrangements here in New York, you are allowed to prepay your funeral expenses. You can put them in an escrow account, and then when you pass, the money goes from the escrow account directly to the funeral home, so they get paid. If you can do that, do that. I don't know if it's available in every state, but I know in New York it is possible to do it. Um, I'm trying to think what other hints and tips I can give you. Um, just try to be as prepared as you can. Make friends with the people that work in the doctor's office. they they will be your best buddies. So try and make friends with them. Send them a fruit basket every Christmas. Make sure they don't forget you because trust me, you're gonna need them. Um, and I can't think of anything else right now. Um, if you're interested in the statistics and all that good stuff, you can go to AARP, the Public Policy Institute. That's where I gathered these statistics from for tonight's show. You can also go to the CDC, cdc.gov, search under caregiving, and the information I quoted at the beginning of the show will come up. You can use that as a jump off point. Um, there are online support groups. There are in-person support groups. It depends on the state that you live in. I would suggest you go to your Department of Aging and use that as a jump off point and see what happens. If you are offered services or offered any kind of assistance, take it. Um, and just make sure your loved one's affairs are in order. Um, that's about all I can offer for now. I may do a follow up. Um, I may do a follow up show on this, but I hope the information that I provided so far um, was helpful. Um, oops, sorry. I just want to take this out. So I do hope that the information I presented tonight was helpful. I can try and do a follow up show if people are interested. But in the meantime, again, you've been listening to the Eclectic Experience. Please like, subscribe, and comments are always welcome. If you're watching in the replay, you can post questions there, and if I can answer them, I'll be happy to do so. So I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their weekend. Be in chat. I may do it tomorrow, Sunday, depending on my schedule. I'm hoping to do it, but it will definitely be. If it's not tomorrow, it will definitely be next week. Next Friday will also funny news will return next week as well, and I may have a surprise or two depending on what's going on. I may have an extra show or two in in the works. Um, as a matter of fact, the YouTube Street Guide might pop up next week. Might pop up next week. So we shall see. But anyway, hope everyone enjoys the rest of their weekend. Thank you for listening. And again, please like, subscribe, and comments are always welcome. Have a great night, everyone.